Would you like to experience more peace in your mind concerning your relationships, concerning situations that are out of your control? I'm Julie Kay here to discuss on my fourth video in this series on expectations about this, and I'm breaking it down little by little over the week. So I will be sharing a little bit more of my story and an example so that I can give you that example to help you hopefully understand where I'm going with our thoughts and how we need to actually think about our thoughts. Okay, we need to process things, and this is partly learning from others, but my own kind of take on this as a Thrive coach. So please stay with me. This video won't be too long, and what I want you to do is go back and watch the other ones. At least last week you will hear my full story, as I'm not going to go into that again. But what I want to help you do is really to identify what's out of your control, and then do you have expectations in your life about what's out of your control. The relationships you're in is usually where we go, because we've brought it home more personal now. The expectations we have on other people or situations. And so with that, hopefully you thought about it if you were on with me last week and got an example in your mind. Mine is the adoptive mom of my grandchildren. Okay, and that relationship, which has no guarantee of being in their lives, but is an open relationship, an evolving relationship right now. So that's where I will be sharing a little bit. But so think about somebody. A lot of times a good way to figure it out is somebody you're upset with, somebody that frustrates you, and you realize you can't change that person. You realize you can't get certain things through to that person, but you wish you could, but you can't. So that's a personal situation that's out of your control. And then what are your expectations of them? Because if you're upset, frustrated, any of that kind of stuff, negative stuff, you most likely have expectations of them. So what we're trying to do today is now break that expectation down to whether it's healthy or not. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Begin to think more often and take time. Now, I'm out in a park and I love nature. So it's a great way to get in nature and pray, but just think through your own expectations and those things that you're struggling with and those relationships. And so whether it's healthy or not, that's where we're going. So with that more specifically now, think about, are they too high of expectations? Maybe you need to lower them. Or are they unrealistic expectations? Just, are they unrealistic? Now, in your mind, you probably thought, I deserve this. I have every right to expect this for whatever reason, or you've just thought that way. But let's really think, is it a realistic expectation? Because if that person is not teachable, open, working on their lives already, or already has conviction about that area, or whatever it would be, then you might have to, what I say, discard the expectation. So that's the next thing I want to talk briefly about is three things. The way I put it is that it'd be wise for you to do so that you are not causing yourself more turmoil and negative thinking, okay, or more pain and grief on top of the grief you're already experiencing, is the way I say it, is to decide whether to either keep that expectation. Is it good to keep? Is it healthy enough? Is it realistic enough to keep, or should you adjust it, like I said, lower it, adjust it, not expect so much, or should you discard it? So it's keep, adjust, or discard. That's the way I word it. So I encourage you to think about that. So my example, without going into the full story, with the adoptive mom of my grandkids that my daughter gave birth to, 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, is the fact that I have now realized, since they adopted him over 1.5 years ago, that they do come to Florida, North Florida, at least once a year. Now, I live in mid-Florida, Tampa Bay area, okay, mid if you want to call it that, not south. So yes, it's still a drive for me and my husband, if he goes with me, to North Florida, they panhandle. But it's way closer than Tennessee, which of course we love Tennessee, but it's just not always realistic. So I had an expectation that I was going to get to see them last July in Florida. And I was, not only were we not able to go to Tennessee, when I found out they went, there was no welcome to come to see them. And I was very hurt and disappointed because I had that expectation. But now I have a more realistic expectation about that. That doesn't mean, I don't think I have to totally discard my expectation, because I've learned that their adoptive mom is open to questions. She's open to me asking her, and she doesn't get mad that I ask. So I've realized I can do that. Of course, respectfully and in the right timing and after prayer is what I try to do. So it is my intent, hopefully soon, to ask if maybe this next time, because there's been 2 times now they've come since they've had them, that I can come up for the day and visit them, you know. So again, I don't feel like I had to discard it totally because the relationship is moving in a better way, but I know that I can't just assume. And that's part of what I talked about a couple videos ago, that assuming is not a wise thing, but we do it at times. We assume something's going to happen, or somebody's going to do something, or allow us to do something, or do something for us, or what have you. And it just, you know, somebody could owe you lots of money because you gave them lots of money, or something like that. Just thought of that example from somebody that I've coached. And I had to encourage her that you just need to let that go, because this woman is having a lot of financial problems, and wow, this would be a perfect time for that person to give some back, right? But it just makes you miserable and not forgive the person, or even bitter, or even resentful if you don't let that go. So, and that's where I encourage everybody, and I try to do myself, is look to God himself for my needs to be met. My God shall supply all my needs according to his riches and glory. He is Jehovah Jireh. Lord, you are Jehovah Jireh, my provider. And the Lord's Prayer says, give us this day our daily bread, after worshiping and praising him and saying, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give me this day my daily bread. So, you know, we need to call on God, and then we need to, and I'll probably talk about this more next week, you know, not put specifics on that of who and how all the time. You know, we know when we have a job, we're supposed to be paid, but even that, something could change. So the more we just trust God with our needs, overall, the less we won't have expectations on people and be let down and be upset, disappointed, discouraged. And, you know, because our eyes are kind of on that person as part of what's happening. So anyway, I want to encourage you to read Philippians 4, verses 8 through 9. And we'll talk about that more next week, how when you do what I'm suggesting you to do, you'll be more able to think on good things and lovely things and experience the peace of God, which he promises in